On this episode of The Digital Roast,
it feels like almost every business could benefit from some form of data capturing.
100%.
Are these tools going to replace jobs, do you think? I mean, that's the big question that's often asked.
I guess the biggest restraint in any business is resource. So if you're not using your resource effectively, how are you going to grow? You're not going to be able to grow as effectively as what you could do.
I'm Brendon McDermott, and this is The Digital Roast. And firstly, I'd just like to say a big thank you for anyone who watched the first episode where we talked about AI and the art of prompting. It was really good to get some good feedback from people that listened or watched it on YouTube or Spotify and just said there was a few things they picked up they'd like to go away and try. And I guess that's the whole point of these podcasts is have a listen, have a watch, and if you pick up a few pointers, go away and explore them or come and talk to us here at Focus. So today we're going to continue on the theme of productivity, and we're going to dive a little bit more into that whole theme of time. And time is money, as they say. And today I've got Emma Devon, who is the TimeTrak Manager here at Focus. Welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome to have you here. We'll start with the standard question, which is really around the roast of choice. This is the digital roast. So the coffee choice?
Long black, always.
No cream?
No.
Damn it.
Pretty plain.
It's only me that has the cream and the long black. Okay, awesome. So let's start with a little bit about your background.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the game a while now, so talk to us about where you started in terms of where you are today.
Yeah. Haven't gone too far. I've been here since 2008. So I started as the office junior, and to be honest, I love that. I love the fact that I've spent so many years in an organisation that's got so many incredibly talented people, and I kind of feel like I've learnt from the ground up, and I take a lot of, I guess, the experiences that I learned in first-hand administration, service coordination into my role to help the businesses that I work with today.
So what has that looked like? What have you taken away or learnt over those years in terms of your role and productivity and what helps make a business successful? Sorry, a few questions in there.
Yeah. I think sometimes some of the things that I take firsthand is I remember being trained on a process in admin around stock reordering, and I did that process for a couple of years. And then when I became a ERP consultant, I learned that that process that I was doing, I missed a valid point in my training, and I could have automated that process so much. And so I often take that firsthand all the time, talking to businesses around, are your staff doing things as efficiently as what they could be? Can we re-engage around some extra training, some tips and tricks? Because I think that often people don't ask the right questions, or they just do the same things because that's what they've always done.
And we're in these roles, aren't we, that there's multiple things to do in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Some days it feels like you're never going to get them done. So
Yeah.
trying to get some form of technology
Mm-hmm.
or business process to help is definitely going to make us all feel better about our roles.
100%. Yeah.
Nice. So talk to us a little bit about your role now. We've talked about, I've mentioned you're the TimeTrak Manager, but I guess for those listeners out there that don't know what TimeTrak is, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So TimeTrak is a time recording and job management platform that integrates to MYOB at Connecticut and MYOB EXO. It's been around for 20 years internally. It was designed for Focus itself. And then there was a market for us to get into field service, time recording, helping businesses with that. And so now we deploy that for just over 100 clients throughout Australia and New Zealand. So I guess my role is around working with the developers that are all in-house and the consultants around making sure our clients get the best outcomes.
What do you find the most rewarding part of your role?
Definitely the clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love being involved in a business and, starting from businesses that have got paper timesheets that then they've got staff keying those entries manually into the system to the other end where they've got that data in real time. Their billing is much more efficient, so they've got better cash turnover, just all of those added benefits of having that data real time.
I guess that's what we want to dig into a little bit is, what are those benefits? I mean, you're using a developed software tool.
Yeah.
I guess that will help the business be more productive.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned about, I guess, the benefits of those. Tell us a little bit more about what are those real benefits, the real-time information.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean for a business what do you see and hear from the client in terms of where they've been and where they've got to?
Yeah, so I think 100% clients have a gut feeling of how much time has been spent on certain things in the business, but it's not until you're capturing that you can analyze it. And often that makes huge changes in their business around what they're spending time on, and even potentially sometimes billing. So sometimes clients might not charge for travel time, and then when they've actually recorded that and they get a true understanding of that value, sometimes that can drive internal decisions to be made.
Mm. And I guess it's not all about the software tool itself, though. It's about people,
Mm-hmm.
because we're in a people game.
Yes.
We have employees
Yeah.
that have got to use this software. How do you go about training them or getting them on the journey in terms of that change?
Yeah. Often that's the biggest challenge for any business. That's the scary part. And a lot of the time, these businesses have got staff that they just say, "Oh, Harry will never do that. He doesn't like technology." And to be fair, in my experience, I often find that sometimes those are some of the best users. If you spend the time, give them the tools, often it's a wee bit of a challenge for them. And all of a sudden, I don't need to ring the office because I can find this out myself, or I can see that I need to talk to Bruce when I get to the site. So it's quite rewarding to see that. Absolutely.
And I suppose there's a bit of competition between staff members when you get that. You could have 50, 100 employees that are all striving to be a bit better when it comes to this new technology.
Mm-hmm.
Does that competition really make a difference?
Think it depends on the
Yeah.
business, and so absolutely, if you're running productivity reporting, there will 100% be employees that are competitive and wanting to do better than some of their colleagues. But again, it's, I guess, using the software, and some of these field services clients that we work with, they'll take their phone home and they'll work with their wife or their son or their daughter to get the process right. And there's a wee bit of competition around, oh, well, I did all my
Yeah.
timesheets myself, which is always lovely to see.
And whilst we're talking about a particular bit of software here, if we lift up from that and go, just knowing where you've spent your time is crucial, not just for the business, but to an employee during the day, I would say as well.
Yeah. I think it makes the person more accountable for that, and often that time's used for payroll purposes as well. So in the app, staff can request leave. So like, so myself, if I'm booking a family trip, I can put it into my phone straight away, and I don't need to remember, oh, when I get to the office, I need to check with Brendon to make sure I can have leave.
And it's not about multiple
No.
bits
Yeah.
of paper or things
Correct.
like that, is it?
Yeah. It's I've done it, and it's out of sight, out of mind.
People hate doing timesheets though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So how do you get around that piece?
I guess maybe because I'm so positive and I'm so passionate about it. It's a challenge, and I enjoy the challenge. So I love going into organisations, and you see the even internally. So I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about the results that you get out of it. And yeah, it's finding the thing that helps that organization to get through. So what is the benefit for them? How is them recording their time going to help them?
Have you got any examples where you've had a really happy customer, they've put the bit of software in, and then going, this has just revolutionised our business in terms of the business decisions we've made? You talked before about instant or data that's up to date that you can use to make better business decisions. Have you got any examples that you can share with us around businesses that might have done that and just the effects that it's had and the changes to their business?
Yeah, so there's a few different clients that we've worked with that perfect examples are likes of COVID. I know nobody likes to talk about it, but in that environment where they were completing paper timesheets and they were dependent on office staff then keying that in, for essential services who were still working, having the TimeTrak platform was invaluable for them. Their business could still run. They were getting a quick overview of turnover, profitability, and that was really important for them. They have said that they don't think that they would have been able to manage without it.
And it's not just the productivity piece, is it? It's giving them a whole lot of other information at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. In terms of other tools, are you aware of other? Is there other tools that, I mean, TimeTrak might not be for every business. It only integrates with MYOB, but is there other tools out there that businesses should be considering or looking at in terms of capturing time, or at least helping their staff be more efficient with their time?
Yeah, of course. There is plenty of tools just like us. But I think it's really that first conversation around what is time actually being spent on. And often lots of these businesses don't necessarily even record, how much time was spent in the workshop or how much time was spent chasing up admin. And that can be a game changer. So even if they are still recording paper timesheets, maybe just analysing that. So how much time our field staff spending having to come back into the office to get information off the admin team. How much, one of the things that we do is on their phone after they add a time entry, we can have a wee checklist pop up and prompt them, is this work complete? Do you need to order new stock? Do you need to notify anybody internally about some additional things? Because what happens is you've got all of that stuff racing around in your employees' heads, and how much of that gets lost. So if it's done then and there, you're less likely to lose that information.
It feels like almost every business could benefit from some form of data capturing.
100%.
Particularly when we've got things like mobile phones and technology at our fingertips these days.
Yeah, of course.
Would that be right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about those tools, and I know in some of the other episodes we're going to dive into a bit more about Microsoft 365 tools. And there's a few tools within there around To-Do and Planner. At a small scale, for an individual, they just would help people in terms of organising their day and being able to capture things as well, whether it be OneNote, whether it be even using an Excel spreadsheet, should I say, or a Word document, but there are specific tools now for that piece, isn't there?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be obviously a platform like TimeTrak, but I think even just getting a true understanding of what that data looks like for your business, because you can have a gut feeling of what things look like, but until you actually analyze it, you'll never really know.
So some sort of audit, someone independent looking at your business is a real benefit.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Otherwise, how else do you know?
Yeah. And tying that in with technology, obviously that's where the real gains can be made, because there's automation, there's AI, which we talked about in the last episode. Is AI starting to play a role in terms of time capture and some of these softwares that you
of course, we are actively looking at how can we embed that into our product to make it even more efficient? Your last podcast, you were talking about AI, and a game changer for me is in Teams giving me the summary of, I do lots of our clients are in Australia, and so having those hour to hour training sessions, having a summary of my action points has been a game changer for me.
Yeah, nice. I guess we've talked about, I keep saying I guess, I'm not sure, it's always the saying, isn't it? But we talk about productivity and it's often around how a business can do better. But if people aren't productive, I think it'd be fair to say they're less engaged.
Yeah, I think so. And if you're not, I guess the biggest restraint in any business is resource. So if you're not using your resource effectively, how are you going to grow? You're not going to be able to grow as effectively as what you could do.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, your resource or your staff are your most important asset, and if they're not truly operating and don't have the tools to operate as effectively, then how do you get the most out of them, right? And so, what else are you seeing in terms of business that's really starting to drive productivity in terms of whether it be time recording or whether it be in other bits of software? Are you seeing businesses adopt technology fast enough?
I guess most of the businesses that I deal with are looking to adopt. So I think, yes, I think sometimes it could be a lot sooner because, of course, sometimes by the time you're engaged with them, they've been doing these very manual processes for a very long time and they're almost at breaking point, which is hard to see. But yeah.
And going back to the start a little bit, you talked about automation. Is automation almost part of that AI journey, or was it different?
No, so automation is, it should be part of any consulting conversation I guess you're having. So key points for me is, what are your pain points and how can we alleviate them? So are you running manual reports on a weekly basis that we can automate to land in your inbox? Do you need a dashboard to display the data to you? What are those manual processes? So again, coming back to resource being your most important part of your business, no resource likes to do mundane tasks all the time. So how can we automate that and make them a wee bit happier and enjoy their job a wee bit more too?
So are these tools going to replace jobs, do you think? I mean, it's the big question that's
Yeah.
often asked.
I haven't seen any jobs get replaced by TimeTrak. I've seen jobs change because of TimeTrak.
Yep.
There's always more efficient things that they could be doing with their time. Maybe it's, now we're not keying in manual timesheets. Oh, we can look at our stock, which is not ideal, or, more effective uses of their time.
I know you've recently been to a conference in Australia talking about TimeTrak to a number of clients.
Yes.
Any key themes coming through, trends coming through that you've sort of sparked your interest and thought, yeah, it's something that we need, businesses need to be considering?
A lot around AI, which of course is the talk.
Yep.
So really exciting things happening in that space. And I think if businesses haven't considered AI, they should be considering policies around how it's going to be used in their business and what can they automate or get better information using those tools.
As we said last time, we don't 100% know what it's going to look like yet, though, do we?
No.
And so it's a little bit of a crystal ball, but what you've said already is you should be just starting to look at it and think about those areas of your business. And I think Sam mentioned that, those mundane things, but those manual things that seem to take a long time, and investigating whether they should or could be done better, faster, doing it in a different way.
Yeah, even as simple as writing an email to somebody, and I don't know about most people, but I'm sure everybody sits there rewording themselves, second guessing themselves.
Yep.
Just putting that into AI and it helping you. It's never perfect, so it's not going to replace people, but it certainly makes them more effective. Instead of me spending 10 minutes rewording myself, I've got some prompts that I can use to help me with that.
Nice. Emma, really appreciate you coming today. I've taken away a few things out of that, and the things I've taken away out of that should just start. I mean, a business needs to look at some of the processes, and it's not just about technology, but it's actually looking at your business process and looking at how you can streamline those, make them more efficient, and hopefully staff being more productive will then become more engaged, and the flow on effect is increased productivity, which is then hopefully increased profit on the bottom line, which means then more money can be invested into the business. So lots to take away. I know we talked a little bit about TimeTrak, but it's all about business process and getting the most out of your tools and most out of your resource. So Emma, thanks very much for coming along today on the Digital Podcast. On the next of the Digital Roast podcast, we'll talk to Sam again, who we talked to in episode 1, and we're going to dive deeper into those Microsoft 365 tools I mentioned before around Planner, to do. But there's a tool that we're going to dive right into, which is a tool that will help you market your business to more clients, maybe even wider into the world. So stay tuned for episode 3 of the Digital Podcast.